We have finally reached the final race of the NASCAR Wendy's Cup Series regular season. Tonight at Greenville-Pickens Speedway, it's the AutoZone 400. Colin Denton here for RV, and it's a pleasure to join you all tonight for this final race before the chase, and also a welcome to all of our fans watching live tonight. Let's take a look at the starting grid before we get into some of the names we have to watch tonight. On the front row, we have the number 29 Mobile Chevy of the Flash. He'll be put into the Wendy's Unlimited for next season. On the outside pole is the number 22 NHL Jets Ford of Lego Bush. On the second row, we have Conrad Cooper and Stephen Willie. In the third row, John Green and Dale Jr. Jude 88. In the fourth row, Andrew Golden and Eric Van Arsdale. In the fifth row, Gabriel Wanderley and NASCAR Fan 1418. In the sixth row, Josh Harris and T-Love 48 Man. In the seventh row, Johnny Gardner and William Brock. In the eighth row, Colin Lindsay and Emmett Juckham. In the ninth row, Zach Campbell and NASCAR Man number 1. And in the 10th row, Harrison Butt and Grayson Acevedo. All these cars lined up on the front stretch, they are ready to get going. So we have to take a look at some of the names we're watching tonight. John Arndt is leading the bubble points at the moment. He is starting 26th. William Brock, his name came up at 14th. And Alexander Miller and Grayson Acevedo, they are tied for the final bubble spot. We have to be aware of a potential first-time winner that might steal one of those spots, but they are qualifying 29th for Miller, and for Acevedo, he is in 20th. John Green, Eric Van Arsdale, Tyler Markell, NASCAR Fan 19. You can see on the screen where they are starting as well. It's going to be a big battle for some of these drivers trying to make it into the chase as they roll off. It's going to be probably one of our most exciting races of the season. On that front row, we have two drivers who have not won a race yet this season. Obviously, this gives them a great opportunity to put themselves out there and get themselves into the chase. A short track to finish off this regular season. As they come through turn number 4, the pace car pulls off into the pits. 42 drivers getting ready to get going, and the green flag flies, and we are live. The cars scatter into turn number 1. They're staying double file. Looks like the Flash gets the advantage as they head into turn number 3. And Cooper makes a look to the inside. Oh, I believe they might have actually scraped the inside wall as they came through there. Oh, and trouble already. And McDaniel's in it. The Dexter Black, Tyler Markell. Big front end damage. Nick Smith's in it. I think that's Marty Johnson as well. Tyler Markell. He was one of the people to watch now, and it looks like he has some major damage to start off this race. Johnson is on the fringe of that top 35 cutoff, and that's a big problem for him as well. Oh, I think we have oh, man. Pat Hayes getting lifted by Dan Bandon further back in the field. I think Rampage also had a part of that, and you can see they're squeezing 3 wide on the backstretcher, trying to find their place in line. And now they're all cutting downward as they're trying to get to the pits. It's just a jumble out here in the first 2 laps of this race. Now Bandon, who was a part of that incident further back in the field, he already has a win. Pat Hayes does not. So we take a look at our front runners who come to pit road. It looks like everyone's coming to pit road this time around. John Green, he's on the bubble. Let's take a look at what he does, and it looks like it's going to be a fuel-only stop for him. As they pull off, it looks like fuel-only is going to be the strategy for most of these teams at the start of this race. Here's your race off of pit road. You can see there's a bit of shuffling amongst these drivers, but everyone looking like they're going for the no tire strategy. Some drivers might be dealing with a little bit of damage repairs. which might be why you see some of that shuffling. So we take a look at what happened right here on the front stretch coming into lap number 2. It looks like further back in the field, McDaniel went around and Black hits the inside wall. Johnson hits McDaniel and so does Markel, and that is big front end damage. Nick Smith also gets turned around in that ordeal. We take a look on board Markel. You don't really see what's happening there until it's right there in front of you. You can see he was trying to make a cut to the inside, and it just did not work for him. We're on board that's McDaniel, and you can see they were actually going 3 wide. And it looks like McDaniel was on the inside of that, and Nick Smith was on the outside, and Dexter Black in the middle. McDaniel slid up, and as a result, they all piled in. So we take a look at our Hardy's Hot Seat winner this week, Harry Saura. He's put together a string of solid finishes, topped off by a win at Hillside. Obviously gives him chase eligibility. And it looks like Tyler Markel has declared out of this race, which basically dashes his hopes for the chase this season. Very tough break for him, but we get started on lap number 8. You can see Alexander Miller is actually on the inside. He has gone a lap down. In fact, a lot of these cars that have gone a lap down, turns out they stayed on pit road just a little bit too long before the flash came back around. So a lot of these cars that are a lap down, they're not damaged at all, and they're still running at a pretty competitive pace, but because of the amount of time they spent on pit road, they're now a lap down. Alexander Miller is notable in that because he has to get a good finish today. Marty Johnson, he comes in. He got damaged from the first accident of the day, and it is important where he finishes as well because he is 31st in the points right now, and he needs to have a good finish to make sure he stays above the top 35 cutoff. Lap number 10, they're staying clean at the moment. You can see there's Miller, who obviously needs a good finish to put himself into the chase. So he's gotten away from the flash, and he's trying to pull away. At the moment, he would not be labeled a lap down. If a caution comes out, then he'll be able to run back around the track and start at the tail end of the field, but he will be on the lead lap. These cars, they run very close to that inside wall. You're looking at this big gap between the Flash and Cooper, who is running second place. But you can see guys like Kingston, Cars, and Rampage, they've all gone a lap down off of pit stops, and now they are working to get their way back onto the lead lap if they can get around the Flash, who has dominated this race so far, led all the laps. You can see Wanderley, he's been utilizing that inside lane. He's gone all the way from 7th to 3rd since the restart. Been picking up a spot a lap. There's Pat Hayes. He got damage from that incident in turn number 2. Post-caution, and now you can see his hood has been removed from the car. He's got major body damage, but he's trying to keep it around. And we've got trouble in Dexter Black. He goes around, and he was involved in the first accident as well. And now he's spun. It looks like a single car incident with a few cars getting a few touches in there. But the 2 car has gone around, and that brings out our second caution of the day. Well, we'll take a look at what just occurred right there. So this was the trouble spot earlier. Dexter Black's coming around, and it looks like it was a 3-wide situation again. This time the outside line gets turned around, and that happens to be where Dexter Black was. T-Love 48 Man and Andrew Rich were the other cars involved in starting that accident. But the 2 car goes around, smacks the wall a little bit, and he takes off. And it looks like nobody really took to the pits that time around. Everyone got their fuel on the first caution. So as we start up lap number 20, Alexander Miller got his lap back because he beat the Flash to the line. Now Kingston wants to get his lap back. Oh, big trouble. 77 cars goes around, and there's the Andrew Rich. And several cars get plowed. They plow into number 77, and the caution flag flies again. Big time damage for several cars. K-Dude 124 got turned into the inside wall. Andrew Rich is damaged. Matt Johnson, Dan Vanden, T-Love 48 man, Dejan Weeks. Big time trouble on the backstretch. You can see Kingston and cars go around. They beat the Flash to the line and get their laps back. K-Dude 124 limping around the racetrack, but the leaders are coming back to pit road. Remember, only the lead lap cars can make their pit stops on the first cycle. Everyone that's a lap down needs to wait. You can see Rampage and Van Arsdale are probably going to have to wait a while to get their stops done. The Flash goes for a couple tires. And it looks like we're going to have some 4 tire strategies this time around. The Flash pulls off. Cooper comes in right behind him. So the Flash continues to dominate this race as he wins the battle off pit road. And here is the race. You can see further back after you get through the first 6 cars, we saw some big gains being made. So let's take a look at what happened on this latest incident. You can see the number 33 car is hooked to the number 77 car coming through the corner, and he just never lets off. They hit the inside wall there in the turn. Oh, and then the number 33 car came back up the track, and then as a result, crunched someone to the outside and got damage himself. Didn't see that on the live feed, but yes, here's the turn. A big hit for the number 77, and bam, right back into traffic. John Arndt, I believe he might get through it. He might have gotten a piece of that second part of the incident, along with NASCAR Fan 19, who was just behind him. It looks like Miller might have woed up just enough. We watch on board Andrew Rich as we had a quick commercial break. Big hit for the number 23.
So, you want me to vote for your flavor?
Baja Blast. Pitch Black.
Well then, what are you gonna do for me? Hey, you missed a spot. Whoa, only I wash my car. All this work's making me thirsty.
Dale gets a vote, and so do you. Decision 2016. Only one flavor stays. Vote at decision.com.
Ow, guys!
As we rejoin the action here at Greenville-Pickens, we take a look at some very important graphics. Now, this involves where people stand on the chase grid. Now, we have a list of people that have won races, and they are good to go for the chase this year. But look at this list. These are people that need some good finishes today in order to stay or get into the chase. As you can see, Reese Butcher is under the line, and Marty Johnson is close to it. The other 4 drivers are pretty well set unless they have a big accident this race. Now on here you can see these are drivers that need to win today if they want to get in the chase, because they cannot make it on bubble points. So for several of these guys, it's going to be a lot of risk taking going on. 3 of the drivers so far are out of contention, and beyond that we have this list of 9 drivers who are on the bubble at the moment, and they have some shots to make up the ground they need. Alexander Miller, Grayson Estevedo, the start of this race, they were tied. Obviously, it's probably not going to be a tie at the end of this, so we'll need to see what goes on. A list of drivers just popped up there showing you who just dropped out of the race. None of them were on the bubble or winners. So it looks like their chase hopes are done. Dejon Weeks, he is one of those guys that are fighting to stay in the top 35. He has no hood on his car, and he's leading the inside line. Now, the Flash is in the lead at the moment. Dexter Black, it's likely that he got trapped behind the pace car and then couldn't get back around, so he is leading the front row. He'll get a lap back after this cycle if he stays in front of the Flash for the majority of this green flag, and it looks like we get some cars together, and there goes Noah Cars. He goes for a spin cycle, and it looks like he was alone on that. Oh, more trouble. Kingston goes around. Rampage runs into the back of Lindsay, and there's a big multi-car accident on the backstretch. Kingston went around. Oh, and there's more trouble on the front stretch as they come to caution. Golden gets turned around by Nick Smith. And everyone woes up before they get to him. Holy cow, 3 separate incidents on this green flag cycle. With the yellow out, let's take a look at just what just happened, because a lot just went on. So we have a 3-wide situation here between Harrison Butt, Zach Campbell, Noah Cars, and Cars ends up being the one that gets squeezed. Everyone manages to avoid it. But then further on the backstretch, another incident occurs. Now it looks like the 05 car is running to the inside, and it squeezes Kingston into Lindsay. And then cars come through. Rampage with a big shunt to the back of the 3 car. And then someone ran into the side of the 26 car, and I believe that is Acevedo, who is obviously your bubble driver. And he is tied for the transition spot. It was a light tap to Kingston. It didn't look like it did much damage to him. Now, on the front stretch, Cooper ran down on Golden, and then that ran into Nick Smith, who was on the inside line of all of that. So what a wacky cycle that was, as 3 separate incidents plagued the field, and Johnny Gardner has dropped out as a result. So not much action on pit road that time. Wanderley did come down and take 2 right side tires, so he'll go back through the field, and we restart the race on lap number 34. Acevedo, he's on the inside line. He's a lap down. He's got to watch himself as the Flashy takes off. Dejon Weeks was in the front of that group, and he's kind of slowing down that inside line as the Flash and Cooper both make their way to the outside, and now you got the 2 front runners running the front of the pack. Both of these guys are looking for that win. There's certainly opportunity for the both of them to put themselves in the chase if they get the win. They run too wide further back in the field. And someone is coming in, and that is Wanderley. I'm not sure why he's coming down. He had just been on pit road and took 2 right side tires, but it looks like an unscheduled stop for that car. Looking at some important cars in this pack right here, you can see NASCAR Fan 19 is battling for the bubble spot. Reese Butcher is battling to stay above the top 35. There is John Arndt. He is another driver. Miller's in the bottom right side of the corner. There's William Brock. All these guys are scattered across the racing surface, and they are looking for every position they can possibly get. NASCAR Fan 1418, he has some front end damage. He comes off pit road. The Flash crosses the line, 38 laps down and 62 to go. It looks like the majority of the front runners have managed to get themselves in front of the field. And Reese Butcher, he's making a big cut. He goes to the inside of Brenner. He runs 7th position at the moment. and for being in a big situation where he needs to get himself back into the top 35. This has been a relatively good run for him, and if he can maintain that position, he should be able to get himself back in there. There's NASCAR Fan 19. He's running a little bit further back in the fact. Oh my, there's a big accident in turn number 1, and William Brock is a part of it. One of your Chase Bubble drivers involved in this big turn 1 accident. You can see Rampage, Noah Cars, NASCAR Fan 19. They're all running further back. I think NASCAR Fan 19 managed to actually avoid it. Just a matter of slowing down enough before he got too much a part of it. And so we go back under caution. And now it's another matter of who is going to come down and pit. Part of the field kind of stacked up in there. And the Flash is coming down. And he might be the only one. So it looks like the leader, the Flash, is going to give up his dominating performance in turn for some fuel. And we might see some tires changed right here. We'll take a look and see what happens. He comes down, Cooper goes by, and he's going to take the lead. And the Flash comes in and gets 2 right side tires. Might have a little bit of cosmetic damage he wanted to get repaired, and he'll be stopped for a second there as the field goes by. NASCAR Fan 19 came in as well. I saw Goldberg go by. There's McDaniel. So a few cars did come on the pit road. So we take a look at what just happened right here. And it looks like there's a multitude of cars that were just flying around the front of this, and it looked like Noah Cars, Lego Bush, and William Brock were the main parts of it. If we take a look from a different angle. So Noah Cars goes down and hits the inside wall. I think Lego Bush might have come up and then spun around, and Brock got squeezed the number 24 of Zach Campbell into the wall and went around as a result. You can see it kind of gets a little bit of damage right there with Rampage as they try to get themselves turned back around. And so with that, Conrad Cooper, the new leader after that pit stop by the Flash. John Green, he is a lap down, needs to get his spot back. Now, it looks like the Flash only dropped back to 5th place. So it looks like a number of cars did actually join him on pit road. I think a lot of the people that we didn't see go in were probably a lap down. 3 wide going into turn number 3. Alexander Miller is on the inside. He does not want to be a part of that, especially coming out of turn number 4. Oh no, and we got problems right here. And they're squeezing and they're bumping and they're hitting the wall, but no caution. No one spun around. Dexter Black, Stephen Willie, and Alexander Miller, who's on the bubble at the moment, needed to get away from that thing, and he did. But Shirley suffered a little bit of damage right there. He might have actually touched the inside wall right there as well. Big, scary moments for some of these guys that are trying to get themselves into the chase that don't have their spot yet. John Green really looking to get back to the lead lap. And here you see John Arndt and William Brock battling for position. Both of these guys are already inside the bubble watch. And if someone wins for the first time, they could possibly be your only 2 drivers that don't have a win. But of course, they're being hounded by 6 other drivers that have a chance. And don't rule out Acevedo. He's going to the bottom of Brock. I'm not sure if that is for position, and rather it should not be for position. He's not in the top 10 at the moment, so he's probably running a lap down. He is the driver on the bubble who needs a good finish today, as does Alexander Miller. Reese Butcher, he's still fighting his way for the top 35. He is running 9th at the moment, which certainly helps out his chances. But most of these front runners being clogged up by the traffic of lap-down cars and several damaged cars, and Willie has hit the wall. And that is going to bring out a caution. He caught a little bit of the outside wall in turn number 3 and 4, and that will be another caution here on lap number 53. Cooper leads the field to the yellow flag. It doesn't look like anyone's going to get their lap back this time around. So we look for some of those drivers we're looking for, and there aren't. There's Acevedo, and Brock has dropped a little bit in this field. Now here comes Cooper coming into the pits, and the rest of the drivers going around, and we'll try to see who stays out. It seems like a good majority of these cars that are on the lead lap are coming in this time. Here's Goldberg. It looks like it's going to be a fuel-only stop for him. Reese Butcher is in. Fuel only right there. He's actually staying a little bit to fix some damage. NASCAR Fan 19 pulls out before him. And here comes the Flash coming around. And Goldberg is going to win this race off of pit road. He's going to beat Cooper out. And Lindsay as well. And Cooper is having a long pit stop. There's NASCAR Fan 19 and Butcher, both drivers we need to watch out for. Cooper is on an extended pit stop, and here are your results of the race off pit road. And you can see Lindsay still gained a spot off 2 tire change. Some of those other drivers that took 2 tires, they lost a majority of their positions. So this is the incident that occurred with Miller coming off of turn number 4 that did not spawn a caution. You can see those 3 cars, they just they got squeezed in together, and Harrison Butt actually took a big hit running the back of that. As we look on from this, and you can see that's where Dexter Black was really just a victim of that, and then Harrison Butt trying to squeeze in there as they were going, and he just got some more damage off of that as he was going. And then here's Willie being involved in another incident where Lego Bush actually caught his bumper and spun him to hit the inside wall. We're going to head to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Bobby, how do you get to the chase?
You know where they race modifieds? Start there. Then you'll go past a lot of trucks.
Okay.
What am I, your tour guide? Beat it.
Easy, Kevin. Want to take home the title? You got to get to the chase first. NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup. Rated E for everyone.
Just follow me.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Back here at Greenville-Pickens, the current leader is the number 20 car of Harry Saura. Barry Goldberg was the first off of pit road, but it looks like Saura did not pit. Van Arsdale is running the outside line. I think he's a lap down, though, with Saura's leading, so I'm not sure why he's in that line. But they'll come around anyway, and they'll take the green flag on lap number 59. Now, obviously, Van Arsdale really wants to get back on the lead lap, so I'm not sure why he actually went up to the outside line, because the inside line looks like it has a good run, especially with Saura being a little bit further back in the grid as it stands. And you can see Goldberg's trying to make a move. He got to the inside of the racing surface, and now he's cutting inside Saura for the lead. And Van Arsdale is going to follow suit. Obviously, Van Arsdale is on the bubble, and he needs to get some points. He needs to make up 16 points on where the bubble drivers were before that. And Miller, you can see him a little bit further back in the field, was one of those drivers. John Arndt, NASCAR Fan 19, battling for spots and trying to get themselves in contention. And you can see Van Arsdale going to the inside of Acevedo. They're currently running pretty tame. William Brock, 7 points in front of the bubble spot. Now he's running the back of this field. He's looking for his place and trying to maintain this inside line. He's a couple spots back of Conrad Cooper, who had an extensive pit stop. There goes Miller to the inside of Dale Jr. Dude 88. He's continuing to make his run and trying to get himself further up the field, trying to make his lap back. Dejon Weeks is in front of him at the moment. I believe that is the car without a hood, so he probably wants to get around him as soon as he possibly can. Gabriel Wanderley is running around, and he obviously had some troubles earlier on in the race. He made an unscheduled pit stop. Johnson, NASCAR Fan 1418, and I believe that is Campbell, are all on pit road, and they're still continuing to try to service their cars. And for Johnson, that's a big problem for him because he is in dire need for some points to keep himself above the top 35 cutoff. Reese Butcher is probably his competition at the moment. Oh, and they squeeze, and there goes Cooper. Cooper goes around, he hits the outside wall, and that's going to spawn a caution. He's been running solidly up the front for a good portion of this race, and now he's gone around, running the back of this field. As you can see, McDaniel and Dexter Black continuing to bump each other. Another caution flag here. And several drivers got their lap back, including Van Arsdale. Exactly what he needed to see. Now we take a look at who might take some pit stops right here. Saora is getting close to that range, and he will cut down and take service. Will anyone join him? Goldberg goes around. It's going to be fuel only for Saora, but pit road looks relatively clean. Another situation out of turn number 4 where these cars are getting squeezed. Rampage on the outside, Reese Butcher in the middle, and Cooper comes up and puts them all together. So we had a few cars that actually came around and took some service. Juckham, Harris, Cars, and Eric Van Arsdale all came to pit road. We know Van Arsdale got his lap back, but now Miller is in need to get his lap back as Goldberg pulls away on lap number 73 in this restart. Oh, the one car goes into the wall, and Acevedo, he goes over! He's on his roof, scraping against the outside wall, and that is one of your bubble drivers who suddenly looks like he might be out of this chase. Something happened with that one car. He scraped the inside wall, and it sent him back careening toward the outside into the field. We take another look. Cooper's on the bumper of Dexter Black, and that forces Rampage to the bottom. He comes back up, hits Acevedo, and that turns him into Harry Saura, and suddenly he is on his roof. He flips once, and then his roof is scraping against the outside wall. He lands on all fours. Yeah, you can see Cooper is on the quarter panel. Dexter Black, they're slightly turning to the left, and Rampage was making a move. Subsequently, at the same time, he hits that corner just coming off of pit road, and then mayhem occurs. couple other cars up top get involved. I think that was Zach Campbell and Paul Brenner. We'll take another look right here. No, I'm sorry, that was Harrison Butt that went around. We have several Lowe's cars involved in this race, and 2 of them happen to be in that accident. So Acevedo, he might be out of this chase now as a bubble driver goes down. Looking on board Noah Cars, who avoids this very well. We head to commercial break before we come back for the conclusion of the NASCAR Wendy's Cup Series regular season.
Hey, Peanut. Hey, Marty. You remember when David wrecked that truck at Nashville? Yeah. How'd you guys cut the front end off of it so quick?
You just got to keep it really sharp. What about in Kansas City when Dennis put it in the fence? How'd you guys get out so quick?
This little baby right here.
Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR at Sears.
Grayson Acevedo out of the race, possibly out of the chase. We take a look at this list of drivers we're watching out for. You can see 2 of them have already dropped out. Another 3 of them are at least 1 lap down. Miller is 3 laps down as he is on the hot seat for that bubble spot. Lap number 79, you can see him to the inside. He can make up one of those laps if he can beat Goldberg back to the line on one of these caution flags, and we seem to have a lot of them so far this race. And there's Reese Butcher. He's 5th place at the moment, and obviously he's trying to battle with Marty Johnson. And Johnson has been coming to pit road constantly, trying to get his car repaired from an earlier accident, and that is giving Butcher the opportunity to try to slide back into chase contention. Oh, big squeeze, and Rampage goes for a flip. Lands on all 4s, but the car is killed. A huge accident on the backstretch. William Brock was a part of it as well, as he still battles for chase points. Dexter Black involved in another accident. He has not had his luck today. But Goldberg's going to lead them back to the caution. It looks like Miller managed to get one of his laps back. He's no longer in this pack, so we're assuming that he beat Goldberg to the line. NASCAR Fan 19 is coming down pit road, as is Hayes. Goldberg stayed out. I believe we forgot to mention that Lindsay took fuel only on the last caution flag pit stops. And NASCAR Fan 19 went for fuel there as well. And there is John Arndt. He is still battling to stay afloat here as we take a look at what just caused this latest accident, a huge one at that. Marty Johnson's coming off pit road, and then suddenly Dexter Black, William Brock, Rampage, all going for that inside wall. And then Rampage, somehow, he gets cut into and gets turned over. We need to take another look at what happened there. So it looks like Brock's on the quarter panel of Black and turns that crowd around. Rampage was on the inside and gets collected, and then bam! A combination of hitting Lindsay and Saora sends that car over. Roof never even touched the concrete. It just flew over one time and landed back on all 4 tires. And we're going to go on board Rampage. As you can see, there's the cut being made by Brock to the inside of Black and squeezes Johnson, and then bam! And instantly the car comes to a stop. So that cuts out another 2 drivers from this race. William Brock made a pit stop on that round of caution flag pit stops, and we only looked at NASCAR Fan 19 and Pat Hayes. Obviously, Brock was involved in that accident. He needed to fix some of that damage. We head back to green flag. Lap number 86, John Arndt looking to get back on the lead lap. Obviously running the inside line. He's doing a good job getting around Goldberg. And more problems. Willie, Green, and McDaniel go around in the middle of the backstretch. Big hits. NASCAR Fan 19 is involved. William Brock matched it well up enough. Green turns McDaniel. He looks visibly upset, and obviously Green is contending for a bubble spot. McDaniel takes it straight to pit road. Huge accidents causing major shakeups in this point situation. John Green looking from the outside in and gets involved in that one. It takes a little bit of retaliation off of keep himself up there to stay above the top 35 line. Reese Butcher coming into the pits and is going to go for fuel only. Obviously, he's still trying to make his way into the top 35. Brenna goes by as well. There's Andrew Golden. And the Flash is following just behind him. Gas only for Golden. And it looks like gas only for the Flash as well. Haven't seen a lot of tire changes as of late. Looks like everyone's just trying to go to the strategy of getting themselves to the finish line on fuel. There is John Arndt. I believe he got his lap back this time around, and he is going to stay out on the racetrack and try to make up some ground. So let's take a look at what just happened. It looks like the 88 was getting turned by the 27 and clipped Willie in the... as he just became a victim of that. I believe that's the second time that Cooper has clipped someone. And it's been causing a big accident. And there you see Green get into number 88, showing his displeasure, but I'm not sure that necessarily that was his fault. You can see the 27 here, he's on the inside. He's clipping the quarter panel of the 88 all in through the middle of the turn. He bumps the number 42. So obviously those two are next to each other, but I still believe that was the 27's fault there. We ride on board the number 64 car of NASCAR Fan 19. He actually clipped the number 2 car and set him into Carson Scott, and then he makes a big shunt into the number 42 car. His hood is a bit damaged there. And as a result, we have lost 2 more drivers, James McDaniel and Dejan Weeks. Dejan's in a point situation, I believe, but he might be okay. And on the restart, Dexter Black. He spins out of line, and that's going to send us to caution once again. We had a single file restart that time. We're under 10 laps to go, and Dexter Black gets turned around. He spins on the front stretch. It's getting very wild in these closing laps. We'll take another look at what just happened there. Zach Campbell is behind Dexter Black. And there you can see Miller. He's obviously still fighting for position, despite being, I believe it's 2 laps down at this point. Campbell goes to the outside, and they just make contact. Dexter Black gets the spin, and Campbell drives away. I am not sure what triggered the number 24 car to go to the outside, but we'll watch from his onboard. He's got a better restart than Black, but the outside, it wasn't going to work here on this short track. Even though that's the only place you can make a pass for position before the start-finish line, there's not enough room here. And so we are entering the closing laps of this race. Goldberg continues to lead the field. Several other drivers would like to get themselves the victory today, but there's a few lapped cars in between them. So Goldberg might have the advantage here. He just has to stay in front of this pack. We go green flag possibly for the last time this race. Lap number 98. 3 laps to go. Will Goldberg hold them off for the victory? Oh, and we have an accident already. John Green and John Arndt, both bubble drivers. They have spun on the front stretch, and this is going to be the race for the finish. Miller goes by, and there goes NASCAR Fan 19. And Goldberg leads them to the line. Here comes Miller, crossing the line right there, and NASCAR Fan 19. I believe it's a close points battle for both of these drivers. We have to see how it shuffles out. And is everyone fine on fuel? Some might need to come down. And there's the 11 car. He's coming down. So is the 67 car. And Van Arsdale is one of those drivers that's on the bubble. He's risking his points position. Of course, if he can't make it to fuel, he's going to need the fuel, but that's a yikes situation for that number 67 car who needs the points to get into the chase. You can see they both go for fuel only. The white flag has been displayed. This is the last lap. And it looks like the victory is going to belong to the number 15 car of Barry Goldberg, which would be his second victory of the season. And Josh Harris is going around both of these cars with the checkered flag being displayed. And then here comes the 67 car, and he actually made contact with Goldberg. There's a lot of slowness happening in the back of the field. But ultimately, I believe the 15 car has the victory. I don't think that the 11 and 67 car right there really had any effect on where they finished. We'll go to commercial break and try to figure this all out.
I'm up all night to get lucky. We're up all night to the sun.
So last year, we were a little miffed that you guys were promoting Coke Zero instead of Coke.
Yeah, see, first Coke Zero stole our great Coke taste, then it stole our drivers.
But hey, we're past that, and we're moving forward.
We're glad you're promoting the incredible Coke taste of Coke Zero.
In fact, we'd like to help.
What is the one part of a car that no one has bothered to use for sponsorship yet?
Look at that. That screams Coke Zero.
You're out of your mind.
But you haven't even tried it yet.
Now, would that be safe? I don't know if it's a 100% rating of safety, but you're doing 200 miles an hour, so you made some choices to begin with.
Coke Zero tastes like Coke, and now you claim you're both okay with it.
Oh, yeah. Very okay.
It's really dark in there.
Well, are you a NASCAR driver or a NASCAR driver?
You can't see.
Oh, I'd like to be able to see.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, where's the track? Where am I going?
Yeah. What the heck?
Back at Greenville-Pickens, a quick look at what spawned that latest accident. Green hits the outside wall and hits Arndt on the way down. I'm not sure why Green was going so fast. They couldn't make that corner coming to the green flag, but that is ultimately what brought out our final caution, what spawns our final finishing order of this first Wendy's Cup Series season. And there you see Goldberg takes the victory. A great day by NASCAR Fan 19 and Reese Butcher. Both of them are looking for big positions in chase contention. We'll see what that finally brings out in terms of the ordering. William Brock was in 18th. John Arndt, 23rd. He ended up dropping out of the race because of that accident, but he still finished 23rd. Miller comes in 25th. So here are the first 8 seeds in the chase. We knew that these were drivers that had automatic guaranteed spots in the chase. So now it's time to look at who else was a winner and made it. And there you go, Johnson did not make the cut. Reese Butcher gets in at 34th place. So we have 3 spots open for non-winning drivers, and now it's time to see who those are. And NASCAR Fan 19 comes from the back of that bubble area and takes the final spot. William Brock and John Arndt had days decent enough to maintain their positions, but NASCAR Fan 19 passed up Alexander Miller and Grayson Acevedo. Now this is a look at where everyone actually finished in terms of standings. The green represents who got in on points. Look at that gap. 1 point of NASCAR Fan 19 in front of Alexander Miller. And then you see the rest of those guys. Several of the top runners finished in the top 10. If we look backward, Marty Johnson missed the cut by 6 points. He did not make the top 35 and thus cannot qualify for the chase. But Reese Butcher got in by 4 points. He had been in the top 10 for a majority of the race and he makes it in. We take a look at where the chase grid is going to be, where we head to the next race, the first race of the chase at Wacky. You can see that our double winners get 6 bonus points, our winners get 3 bonus points, and our non-winners get 0 bonus points to head start the first race of the chase. Well, that'll do it for us here at RVN and at Greenville-Pickens. Thank you to our live audience that tuned in today. We hope to see you next week for the first race of the NASCAR Wendy's Cup Series chase. Congratulations to Barry Goldberg for the win and to all of our chase drivers this season. We will see you next week.